Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Bikini. We are your hosts, Claire Bonacorso
and Stephanie Calm, and this episode is brought to you by Slim Calm. And we are finally back in Australia after traveling the USA for 2 months for our first run of USA Pro Tours. So we've got lots to cover,
Yes.
covering all our competitions, what's happened in between of our competitions, what's our plans moving forward, and of course, answering all your questions at the end as well.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning, I guess.
So where do we begin?
I mean, our last episode we were in peak week, I'm pretty sure, and we were just about to go into peak week, and then we ended up moving our trip forward and headed out to Las Vegas. Was it 7 days before our show? So just a bit before.
I think it's about 9 days before our show, actually.
It was,
we were meant to be leaving in April, but we ended up bringing it forward
to March.
And to the end of March, yeah. So we actually got there, I think we had 2 or 3 days before we started peak week when we got to Vegas, and then we did most of our peak week in Vegas. So we were going to go to San Fran, which is an hour drive from Sacramento, where our first show was. But we decided to go to Vegas just because we had a friend's place that we could stay at, which is really comfortable and would have been a lot more settled rather than going to a city we've never been to before, San Fran. So it was a perfect decision that we did, I suppose, for our
we were just
show.
able to settle in and just really focus on training and not stressing about anything really. That was a really comfortable first week and peak week as well.
Yeah, I feel like it was pretty stressful still, but being the first show, our first USA show, of course we're going to be stressed, and it was like it was definitely the best situation for a peak week. Like you can't really avoid stress. Of course it's stressful. Traveling, how long did it take us? Like 21 hours to get to Vegas.
And we ran out of meals like on the flight. Not that we ran out.
Actually, you ran out of meals.
Yeah.
I didn't run out of meals because I got prepared.
Yeah. Well, my fish just went really bad and I couldn't eat it.
You didn't bring enough ice packs.
But,
tips for traveling: freeze your meals, because by the time they defrost, you'll still be traveling. So, and obviously you don't want it to go off.
That's one thing we became professionals at that, meal prepping and traveling and freezing our meals. By the end, like we nailed it.
Yeah. We definitely learned absolutely everything that we needed to from this trip.
But anyway, back to our first peak week. It was probably the most stressful peak week out of all the shows that we've done.
I think we pushed ourselves a little bit too far, to be honest.
We did.
Like we didn't need to deplete as hard as we did. Looking back on the videos and the photos and everything, we basically did no carbs and we're already so flat and exhausted from all the flying. So we did like a really hard deplete, push the cardio. I ended up pulling back my cardio a little bit after the first 2 days. I think you kept your cardio the same. And then so we both depleted for the peak week, and then 2 days before show we started carving up. I ended up going pretty savage with my carb up, and
you experimented, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what did you do different in that peak week that you've never done before?
What did I do? I had fries the day before.
Which
actually was a really good decision. I feel like I did peak myself perfectly for that show. If anyone knows, I prepped myself for the whole of last prep. So of course I peaked myself, and it was awesome. It was a really good experience, but like we definitely do our own heads in. So I peaked myself perfectly. Wrote up my own kind of rough idea of what I was going to do for my carb up. I ended up like having shitloads more carbs than that. Ended up adding in the sweet potato fries the night before as well. Looking back on the videos and everything, I picked myself pretty damn well, but then on show day I kind of got in my head thinking I wasn't full enough, so I kind of spilled over by eating a massive bag of salt and chips, family size, literally half an hour before stage. So that was a bit silly and
Yeah.
made me really bloated and hold water. But lesson learned, which was
Exactly.
what we came to do for this.
Exactly. Yeah. And for my peak week, I did it as per usual, like nothing like drastically different. So it was a usual peak week with Nath, and I did the exact same mistake that Steph made. So comp day came, we were both in perfect condition. And then usually I get on stage and I look flat and a bit stringy as well. So coach told me to eat chips. So I started eating chips and we started filling out, but we spilled over. And, we couldn't tell on the day. We were getting into our own heads, honestly.
Yeah, I think we hyped ourselves up too.
We were both like, yeah, thinking, chips.
Yeah, we're both too scared to come in flat because like us going over to the USA, the whole time we're just thinking, we need to come in full. We need to come in full. We need to come in full. Because like both you and I, we bring condition easy. It's no problem for us, but we get flat very easy. So instead of like bringing in the conditioning game, we kind of like thought we really had to come in full. And it wasn't until like we were backstage and we kind of like, okay, we understand now. Like to see the glutes on those girls. I remember looking at Ashley K's glutes, and I'm like, holy fuck! And it's a whole different ball game when you see them in photos and videos versus in person. And like I've been watching Ash K ever since like I started competing like 7.5 years ago. So it's just like I've seen endless amounts of like, videos of her, everything on social media, and then like but seeing it in person, we realized like it's not that we didn't have enough size. It's the density. It's literally pure hard rock density, especially in those glutes and just all over kind of thing. So,
and I think we saw them looking so full backstage and dense that we thought, okay, we just need to eat more chips to fill out. We thought we needed to eat more chips to fill out a bit more and pop like they were popping, but we just didn't have that density. So no matter how many chips we ate or how much we tried to fill out, we were never going to match it.
Yeah. To be honest, I probably didn't notice. I didn't notice until we've come off stage the first round. So like I was just like in my head thinking like fill out, get as big and full as you can. And of course you can only fill out to a certain amount before you spill over, which we did. But yeah, it's just that crazy dense muscle that they've got over there. So straight away we learned. And obviously coming into this prep, we were focused on being full rather than like dense and everything. So it's just like, okay, now it's kind of like for the next few shows, it's about like manipulating things, like using it as a test run and doing what we can do in the short amount of time we have between the next shows. But it was kind of like we're going into off season now. We know exactly what we need to do, and we would have had no idea if we didn't go over and do that this season. So it was like the exact outcome that we needed to do to learn and to come back better.
Definitely. But yeah, I guess that was the first show, and then where did we head to after Sacramento? We went to North Carolina. And we had a bit of a dilemma on that flight. We got to the airport and we were sitting there waiting for the flight, waiting for the plane, and it was about like an hour till we were going to board.
No, it was on the boarding time, remember?
It was.
Like the second we were meant to be boarding,
that's right.
They announced that our flight was
delayed by like 3 hours.
3 hours.
Which meant that we were going to miss our connecting flight from wherever it was. I don't remember now.
LA.
Because then we were going LA to North Carolina. And as soon as they could get us on another flight was that night at 8 p.m. or something like that.
So we ended up we got the delayed flight that was in a few hours from Sacramento to LA. That flight didn't leave LA until about 8:30 at night, I'm pretty sure. So we had
which meant that we got into North Carolina at, I think it was like 5 a.m. and we were so tired.
We went to Denver first, remember?
Oh, we had
two stopovers.
We had 2 stopovers, that's right. But that one was kind of quick. The second one, I think.
Yes, but it was really awkward timing.
It was.
Because we went to, our original flight was meant to be from Sacramento to LA, LA to North Carolina, but they couldn't get us. There was no direct flights from LA to North Carolina. So
yeah, that's right.
Meant we need to do a second stopover. And we went to Denver, and then from Denver to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I think we got to Denver like something ridiculous, like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So that flight wasn't long enough to sleep, and then the second one wasn't long enough to sleep either. So we got like 0 sleep.
We got in. I just remember
Carolina, like 5:30.
Yeah, and we got in and we just went straight to bed. I think we showered, went straight to bed, and woke up at like 9 a.m. or something. But we were so tired that day. I remember trying to find a gym, and we walked to Planet Fitness the first day, and just feeling like a complete zombie.
Yeah, but in such a shitty situation, we were so chill on that flight, and it was because we were so prepared. We ended up prepping like two days worth of food. Like our original flight was meant to be like we left in the middle of the day, and we're meant to be getting there that night. So realistically, we only needed to prep half a day of food, but because obviously we're smart, we prepped 2 days worth of food, so we were fine and served the food. That morning we got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to get training in before our flight. So like in a shitty situation, it's like it's shitty and we're tired and we're on peak week and exhausted, but in a shitty situation we were so prepared that it didn't matter. It didn't affect our training or our food at all.
We were so prepared. I remember sitting in the airport in Sacramento before we found out the plane was delayed. And initially I thought it was a 6-hour flight. And I remember saying to you, oh, I'm dreading this 6-hour flight. And you're like, no, it's only 2 hours or something like really short. And then I was so excited. I was like, oh yeah, short flight. And then next minute, delayed. And then a whole setback.
All day.
But you know what? It's those little things, like the little challenges and obstacles that we went through and overcame that made the trip. It just, we learned so much through those experiences, and I wouldn't change it, any of it.
Neither would I, to be honest. It was literally like everything that went wrong or everything that happened, it was just like it had to happen. Like
exactly.
It was just like, first USA trip. Like we can't be any more prepared than what this trip brought us.
I agree. But
second show. So Charlotte in North Carolina. So the way our shows were ordered, like were planned out, was the first 2 shows were back to back one weekend after. So we had Sacramento, then we had Charlotte in North Carolina, and then we had a weekend break before we had Orlando and Pittsburgh. So after the first show, straight into peak week, got down to Charlotte, got there quite early, and
straight back into peak week.
Straight back into peak week. Literally just got off stage, got back on stage. That it felt like, and it was an awesome show. I think it was probably one of our favorite ones.
Yeah, and I think that was our best peak week as well. We were just straight into it, and I felt like we were on a roll as well.
And I think even though I was stressing, us having the cheat meals after every single show was probably the best thing we could have done.
I agree.
We came in leaner every single show. Like we didn't hold back. Like we had massive cheat meals, didn't we? To the point where like the first one I was in pain. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't get out of my chair. The Cheesecake Factory.
We literally didn't. We took turns being in pain after every cheat meal. The only one we weren't in pain was the last show, Pittsburgh.
I think our body was just adapted to it.
Yeah, we were okay.
Oh gosh.
But nothing will top those those carrot cake Oreos in Charlotte.
Yeah. And then at that exact moment I lost my vlogging camera, which is awesome.
Yes.
That's okay. So let it go. I've got
Gotta
a
let
new
it
one
go.
now.
Yeah.
Got a new one.
Yes.
So we're all good.
And
Upgraded.
it's better as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really 100% better.
Yeah.
Very good quality for reels and everything as well. So
Yeah.
very excited to get back on the YouTube
on the vlogs. So maybe let's talk about the differences between, you know, our first show and our second show.
Yeah. So the differences. So the first show, the Sacramento Pro, was a one show format and it started at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Which means so the shows are always separated into pre-judging and finals. But with the one show format, it was pre-judging and then straight into finals straight away, which was really good. It was like we had the whole day to kind of get ourselves prepared and didn't have to wake up early, didn't have to rush. And then it was pre-judging, off, straight back on for finals, and then we could go and, you know, enjoy our food and unwind. Whereas with the second show,
complete opposite. So we had to be there at 9 a.m. ready. And at first I was kind of excited to get on stage early, but then we got off stage at about 10 a.m. and we had between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. before finals. So Steph and I, we went back to our apartment and we just hang out there. Like we hung out, relaxed, we were being a bit lazy.
Just laid on the couch.
Yeah, ate too many rice cakes. And it was just exhausting waiting. I didn't like the waiting time. And then we went back at 5 and finished finals within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Did
we get on at 5? I feel like it was like 6 o'clock or something.
No, that was 5. That one
was massive. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's such a long waiting game because there's nothing you can do in between. It's just like you can't go enjoy food because you're going to be bloated and hold water. Can't go do too much because again, you're going to hold water and be stressed. Your body's going to be stressed, and like with your makeup, your hair, and everything, you don't want to ruin it. So
it's just about relaxing, chilling.
Yeah. So everything else about the show was awesome. The whole tanning situation was way better. We had pro-tan at that show. The first show we didn't have pro-tan. So our tans looked really dodgy, and which made us look even not as tight as conditioned. It wasn't definitely wasn't dark enough as well. So the whole process was great for second
other
show.
than that waiting period, that was probably one of my favorite shows.
Yeah,
it was just really smoothly run, and I loved the vibe, the energy there, and everything just ran really smoothly, other than that waiting period. But you know, it is what it is. It's just the way the shows go, because the 2 shows after that, there was always a bit of a wait in between the prejudging and finals. So
so after then we went to Orlando. I went straight to Orlando. You had a little bit of a tour. You went to back to Vegas.
I went back to Vegas
to Miami.
For a few nights. So I went.
Want to talk about?
And
this is a shocking week for both of us anyway.
I mean, we got a brief rundown. We split ways, parted ways. I mean, Steph met up with Brandon and I went back to Vegas. And then because I was going to stay at the same friend's house. So we're staying with Regan, and I was there for 3 days. And then I ended up going to Miami. And then from Miami, I went to Orlando. And then I guess you went straight to Orlando to meet up with Brandon.
So I went to Orlando early. So I was in Orlando for 2 weeks. So we had a week off peak week, and then the following week was peak week again for Orlando. So I was in Orlando the whole entire time. You went to stay in Miami longer. You came earlier, and then when you came, it was a shocking week.
It was,
So we ended up going into peak week for Orlando. Orlando wouldn't go back.
No, it was
definitely not my favorite place.
Felt like a big theme park. Everywhere.
And like there's like theme parks and food chains. That's about it. Except for the sushi place we went to. That was really good.
And that was so good.
So yeah, so we ended up doing Orlando. For the peak for that show was different from the previous two, or it was for me. Whereas the first two, I did a pretty hard deplete and then carved up 2 days before. Whereas this one, I ended up reverse dieting the whole time of the 2 weeks. I didn't do any depleting at all, and then just put my carbs up a tiny bit at the end. Looking back, I definitely could have had a lot more carbs, but again, another learning curve. So we did a Orlando show. How did you find the show? I actually really liked that show. It was a good show. I didn't like Orlando, but the show was okay.
Yeah, I liked the show. I thought it was it was fun. I think that the 2-week break in between North Carolina and Orlando, it was a bit too long. We spoke about how in future we would rather just do bang, 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 like 4 shows straight, week after week, without having that whole week in between, because it was a lot. Yeah. And I think especially because I was traveling from Vegas to Miami to Orlando all in 1 week, that was just crazy. But in terms of my peak week, that was probably one of the easiest peak weeks because I did the same as you. I reversed into the show. So we added carbs back in peak week for the whole of peak week. And I was really happy with how my physique, I feel like that was my second best look for the American. Actually, no, I like my Charlotte look the best. And then, no, Pittsburgh, and then Charlotte, and then the Orlando show.
Yeah. Can't remember. I think my favorite overall might have been Orlando or Charlotte. Oh, but Pittsburgh as well, all for different reasons. Yeah, but I like the fact of how after the first show I decided to do my own hair and makeup. That was a game changer. Like it was I did it better. Let's just be honest. And B, the fact that I could just wake up to get myself ready, cruise on into the show was like so much better in terms of like stress levels. Yeah, so Orlando was also the 2-show format, so super early in the morning for pre-judging and then coming back late at night for finals. And then from there, end up having a breakup that night.
Yes, you did.
And then we had a bit of a change of plans.
So you were meant to be going to Mexico as well at the end of the trip.
Yeah, at the end. So we still had Pittsburgh to go to for our last show after Orlando. Yeah, so my partner was meant to come to Pittsburgh with me, but of course, going through the breakout wasn't ideal. So he decided to book a flight to the UK, which is where he's from, to go see his family. And then Claire and I ended up going to Pittsburgh together.
Yeah.
Doing that week. Ended up being a very emotional up and down week. I couldn't after the show, like I couldn't train the next day. Like I was very I'm an emotional eater as well, so I went off track the next day and just like basically ate all the bagels.
Yeah.
All the bagels, every single topping that was left in the apartment. So not the ideal situation, but
you brought it in anyway for the show.
Yeah, so brought it in anyway. Could have been a bit tighter, but I ended up coming in a lot harder for that show compared to the other shows. So that week we still put my carbs up a little bit, actually quite a fair amount, but yeah, so put it carbs a little bit. New coach, which we'll have to speak about in a second. We did a little test run and got him to kind of help me the last 2 days before the show days, and that was game changer. It just like it was great, me not having to stress and second guess myself in the last few days of the show. I could just like leave up to coach, tell me what to do, and
you don't want to be thinking about any of it during your own peak week. Yeah,
it's very, very stressful. Like as much as I know what my body needs to do, and I've done so many peak weeks, and I coach all the other girls with the comp reps too. It's a very different situation when you're doing your own peak weeks. Like 100%. You're looking at yourself, you see yourself so different versus someone else looking at you, or you looking at someone else. So from that alone, like it's cool. It was cool definitely do my own peak weeks, but from now on, I'm definitely excited to just be an athlete to myself, not coach as well.
Yeah, like as much as we can prep ourselves if we wanted to, it just adds a whole lot of extra stress, which we don't need. That's not our job. That's what a coach is for, you know. Even the best athletes, obviously, the top Olympians have their own coach. So but my peak week in Pittsburgh was, we didn't carb up hardly anywhere near as much as the previous show, and that's mainly because we did have a pretty decent sized cheat meal after Orlando, and I feel like I was still holding my fullness and just didn't need to carb up massively, but I did come in the tightest and the fullest. That was definitely my best look on that Pittsburgh show day. So and I was also my lightest as well. So everything just really came in for that last show.
Yeah, must have just dropped a lot of fluid as well.
Yes. Considering we had a big cheat meal, we just kept dropping weight show after show. Don't know how our bodies were just, I think our metabolism's just, you know what? I know for me, and I think it was for you as well, but my metabolism was so stubborn the whole prep. And it was only until we finished the first show when it just started firing. And I think
it'll be from those cheat meals.
Exactly.
Definitely, I reckon. Like
exactly.
Bleeding so hard and dieting so hard, it was just that point where our metabolism was just like, we can take this kind of thing. Whereas prep wise, I think you had cheat meals in quite often. I had no cheat meals the whole entire time. I think I had so it was Christmas just before we went into prep properly. I had Cinnabon, like just 4 little cinnamon rolls. Actually, I had a bit more than that. I had some Christmas food, but Christmas food isn't that dirty anyway. It's usually
it was like a roast or something that you had.
Yeah, it was a roast. Yeah. So, and then the only cheat meal I had between them was at 12 weeks out, I went for sushi with Brandon that night, and it was like I didn't get too much. It was kind of just like to give myself a mental break, to push on when I took over my own prep kind of thing. So,
yeah. And then we even were lucky enough to go to the NPC photo gym in Pittsburgh before the show. Can't forget that. And that was incredible. Yeah, so JM Mannion invited us to the photo gym to train. We got to do some posing and record it. We had an interview there, which should be on the NPC News Online website. We'll have to leave the link somewhere in this podcast so you can check that out. But that was such an incredible experience. We dropped like $600 on all the apparel as well. So we stocked up on 3 different sets.
Of course, again.
So that, I feel like that made our trip.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of the highlights.
Did. Yeah, it definitely did. Like we were so tired because we had literally just gone into Pittsburgh, like not much sleep. Like I was going through a breakup. Like I had a big binge the day before after show because of a breakup. So I was like bloated as hell. But it was so incredible. And for anyone that doesn't know, like the Manions are the ones that basically run the IFBB Pro League. So Jim Mannion is the president, and then his grandson is the vice president, Tyler Mannion, who gave us our pro cards. His partner Attila is she got third last year's Olympia or the year before?
I think the year before, but she's just judging now.
So she's judging now. Tyler's head judge for the Olympia, and then JM, which is Tyler's dad. He does all the media and everything for the IFB Pro League. So it was really surreal to literally.
We met them all.
Met them all, and I've got the full. Like it was such a community, and we were welcomed so easily into it, and it was just an incredible trip because of that reason.
I just want to talk about sleep. I remember the whole trip, I did not sleep at all. And you were the opposite though, weren't you?
I was up and down. I had some weeks where like I was sleeping a lot, but then sometimes not for like decided the flight
Yeah.
delays. And that week after my break, I didn't really sleep
You
at all.
didn't that week? No.
I was shocked. Yeah.
No. Because for the first show, I know you didn't sleep that well and you were really tired in Sacramento. And then and then I remember I never slept ever the night before the show. But I remember the Orlando show, I hadn't slept the 2 nights before the show, not the night before the show. And I remember feeling like a zombie on show day, and I was struggling to walk because of that. And then I feel like I never caught up until Pittsburgh. And even up like on the Pittsburgh show day, I think I got 1 hour sleep or something. But I feel like my body was just so used to being a zombie on show day, it just adapted.
Yeah. I do remember you being at Orlando show, actually. Like, you're holding a fair bit of water, and you can see it in your face as well. Like, you just weren't rested. Your body was very, very stressed. So
yeah, it's hard. You know, you want to say, like, sleep's so important in peak week, but sometimes you just can't fall asleep.
Yeah, I think it's the main issue. Even my clients as well. It's like we work ourselves up and get so, I think we overthink it and we stress ourselves out that, like, we literally wind ourselves up and then we don't sleep. And then if you're not sleeping and you're so winded up and, you know, you're in that fight or flight nervous system the whole time. Obviously cortisol's through the roof, your digestion's not great, so you feel bloated, going to the bathroom and then start stressing.
Everything contributes.
And it's just
it's a cycle.
Just a vicious cycle. So it's just like you just need to say chill as possible as you can. And just like literally make sleep your priority. Like, your sleep should be priority through the whole prep anyway, but more so in the last like peak week especially.
It's like I'd get into bed and I'd tell myself, I'm not going to fall asleep tonight. I know I'm not. And then I'd be staring at the ceiling the whole night and just trying to switch off, but I was overthinking it. And I think that's why I never really fell asleep, because I was just overthinking it.
Definitely.
But so we finished up that last show. Pittsburgh,
once again, it was just such a good vibe. Like, I think the day was great too, but like I loved the athlete meeting at Pittsburgh. It was just so like, everyone was just clicking and everyone was catching up. And by that point, it was our fourth show, so we had done the same show with some of the same people back to back. So it's just like everyone catching up. And
so we got to see some of the girls that we've seen. I think we really started to feel a part of it by then.
Definitely. And like in our lines, we're always in alphabetical order, so you end up being, if you've got like the same people doing the shows, you end up being next to the same people. And I was always next to Ashley Kay and Ashlyn Little. Ashley Kay, my last name's Calms, Little, obviously LK. So I was like always next to them too. So I ended up like developing a really good friendship with them, obviously showing up at the same shows and being backstage together. Spending a bit of quiet time with them, but so I got to know them quite well out of everyone. They're both very, very beautiful people, and then also got to network with everyone else. But it was awesome. Like, it was, I think that's one of the questions we got on Instagram is, how was everyone else backstage? It was actually incredible. Like, it was such a community over there, and like everyone's so lovely, and everyone just like, it's just like, we all have this, like, you can just tell we all have the same passions and we're all there for the right reasons, and we're just like in our element and loving it, and like just a bunch of bikini girls getting together, like regardless of who's Miss Olympia, who's placing, who's not. Jen Dory was there, or pretty much everyone was there at the Pittsburgh show backstage, and Jen Dory came up to us as well backstage and had a chat with us, and it was just incredible.
We were all just vibing with each other, and the energy back there was just, that was one of my favorite parts of all the comp days, just being backstage before getting on stage and pumping up, and just I loved every bit of that.
100%.
But so after that show we spoke to Tyler to get our feedback, and it was clear we already knew what the feedback would be, because been getting feedback after each show, and it was all matching from each judge. And it's basically we need to put on more muscle density, which we knew, but more muscle density, me particularly in my glutes and lower body. And yeah, so that's now what we're going to be focusing on moving forward.
Yeah. In terms of like, it's for you it's a little bit more of a size game as well, just because you are so like petite and small. But definitely the density. And so my size, because I'm always quite small on stage, and that's why I focus on coming in I try to focus on coming in full for these shows, but size wise I was totally fine, but it's more so like balancing out upper glute. I need to grow a bit more upper glute and lower glute. Middle glute, I'm like, I had enough size there. It's just like making that balance a bit more. And with some posing tweaks as well that we ran through. It's just about putting on the size in the right areas to balance out a little bit more.
Yeah, but we know what we have to do, and it's just a matter of getting to work. And we've already got to work. We're grinding away now in this improvement season. So when we're ready, we'll be back, and we'll be bringing a better package with those improvements.
Yeah,
just a matter of time now.
Yeah, just a matter of time and deciding what shows you want to do.
Which is what we were just talking about before this
podcast.
Yeah. So I mean, we had our hearts set on returning to the US in September originally, but that's just not realistic. It's not enough time for us to really put on that size and make a big difference in our physique. So we've decided to push that back to some November shows. And I want to make November happen. It's just a matter of picking the right shows, and hopefully they all go ahead as well, because there's still talk about one show that we're looking at is Japan, and there is still talk about borders being closed potentially. So it's just a matter of taking it as it comes, I guess.
Yeah. And then I guess we've got to weigh up the pros and the cons as well. Like, realistically, November is still a short amount of time. It's 5 months away, and we've just come out of a season, not really started a growth season yet. So in terms of like, if that's going to be enough time for us to make those adjustments in growth before then, and then before going into a prep, and then I'm trying to think, bang for my buck as well. Like, do I want to go straight into another prep and do 2 shows in November, or and possibly burn ourselves out before next year? Because the main one we really want to do as well is we're going back to Pittsburgh next year, like 100%. And when you think about it, like, if we did end of this year and then Pittsburgh again next year, potentially doing end of this year could set us back. So as much as we want to, it's and we love being on stage. Sometimes you need to be able to weigh out the benefits of if it's not worth it or not, and maybe wait for the next run. But we'll reassess that soon, see how much we grow and come in.
Yeah, I mean, if we can line up 3 or 4 shows, it'd be worth it. But yeah, like you said, for 2 shows, I'm not sure. We might just be burning ourselves out.
And at the end of the day, it's like, we don't want to. The worst thing we can do is, like, we've made such good networks and like so many good connections from this first USA trip. Like, it was everything we needed to learn. It was everything we need to get from the trip. So from here, like, the worst thing we could do is come back too early when we haven't made the improvements. Like, that we're just gonna look stupid, and then it's just like, oh, like, same result, or like, they didn't actually listen and go work on the feedback that we told them to, which yes, we will be, but like, it's just not enough time to make the actual improvements that we need. So it's just
agreed.
We
both want to be going back, and we want to make a statement when we return. We want to have made those improvements, and we want to be competitive and make those first call outs the next time we're in the States. So we're just gonna take it as it comes and see how our improvements are traveling along, and then we'll decide a bit later.
So either November or May.
Yeah.
maybe April, but you know, November or May is kind of
Yeah.
where we're sitting at, and we just got to decide on what shows and what's the smart decision
Yeah.
for us to do, basically.
But yeah, so we both transitioned into an improvement season now, and I'm feeling really good. Mentally, I am in a good place. I've actually moved back home, so I didn't go back to Dubai, and I'm back home with mum and dad, and I'm so happy. It's where I need to be right now. I haven't seen, well, I saw my parents about 7 months ago or 6 months ago, while I was in Dubai, before the USA trip. But I'm so close to my family, so I'd miss them like crazy, because previously we were living on the Gold Coast for 7 months, and then Dubai for 5 months, then the US. So it's just been a long time since I've spent any quality time with them. So I'm feeling really happy at home. I've got, they support me and this sport so much. I couldn't do what I do without them. They've got my back, and they make my prep enjoyable as well. So I'm excited to do a prep at home, either at the end of this year or next year, and just relax a bit. Like, I know that I haven't settled for a long time. I'm always moving and traveling, so it's nice to feel like I'm just basing myself here at home, because I know you and I both, we've got so many trips coming up. For the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to be traveling everywhere all year for shows and for other exciting things that we need to announce at some point as well, about Let's Talk Bikini. But we've got so much coming up, so it's just nice to have somewhere where I can call home in between all those travels.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going back to Dubai.
Yes, you are.
A breath in a Charlotte moment. So I had a bit of a breakup after between the third and the fourth show. We ended up going to New York. Well, we meant to go to Mexico, Brandon and I, but Claire and I ended up going to New York and LA instead. And I went back to Dubai and grabbed my stuff and came back to Australia, grabbed everything back to take back home, because I was like, nope, I'm moving back to Australia. I'm ready. Like, I've done this breakup happened, so now it's just time. Came back, felt as I settled here, got a bit more clarity. And yes, anyway, so I'm going back to Dubai.
And you're going back to
we're working things out. And so I'm going back to Dubai.
And I'm going to miss you so much.
I'm going to miss you too. At least I have your sister there. So
yeah, that's true.
Celeste still works at the gym where we were working. I left it long after I got there and ended up doing my own thing after a few weeks. So she's still there. So at least I get half of Claire still.
You get half of me. Until she comes back here in September. But you are also coming back in September, so.
Yes, exactly. It's only 2 months away. So I'm going to Dubai. Might be going to, I'm not settling anytime soon. I'm still going to be traveling quite a bit. I'm going to most likely go into Europe next month. I've got a client that's competing there in both Spain and Portugal. So I did say I would come to the shows if she did that. So if she does those, I'll be going over to Europe for a few weeks. And then going to the UK, Brandon. He's got some client photo shoots and things there, so I'll be with him. And then come back to Dubai, and then come back to Australia in September. So come back a little bit earlier, because Claire and I will be going to a few cities, so Sydney, Melbourne, and Gold Coast, for some plans that we have going on. So we'll announce that soon. And then I'll be here for the end of everyone's preps for season B, and then be here at the shows for season B as well. So so it won't be long until I'm back.
So much coming up.
It's going to go so fast.
It's going to go so fast.
And then from there, if we do November shows, it'll be November before we know it. So
exactly,
lots and lots going on. And then December's over to the Olympia. weekend. So it's literally like flying.
And then we potentially want to be chilling in LA for a few weeks. We both loved LA. Like I want to live there for a month or so. We'll see.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Just train.
Yeah,
be with everyone, the other pros and all that. It was such a good. We're only there for a few days, and
we wanted to stay longer, but
back.
Yeah, our trip was just so long as it was, like as it is. I think we were away for a good 1.5 months or just over.
I think it was 7.5 weeks. I worked out here.
Yeah,
in the USA. Yeah.
Like, I loved every bit of it. I couldn't even pick a favorite part, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Everything was just so different.
Yeah.
In the best ways. I probably wouldn't go to Orlando again. Like, I really did not like Orlando.
Yeah.
I think I keep saying that. But Florida, definitely I'll go back to Florida. I want to see the rest of Florida rather than staying
Orlando.
And it was just too long. Like 2 weeks in one place just drove my head in. So I actually like doing the back-to-back shows. Like we'll probably go back and plan to not do a week break.
Take a break. We didn't need it.
Yeah, no, we didn't. I think like having that break was like worse for us mentally. It was like we're just in limbo. It was just like,
and because we were separated,
we just go and attack.
Yeah, because we were separated, and I was staying on my own for those 2 weeks. I just felt so lonely, and I wasn't having fun. It wasn't the same.
No,
I needed you.
Yeah, but
my
we
Bikini
made up for
sister
it in New York.
yeah, we did. We ate so
did.
much food. I think we were in food comas every single night. Mm-hmm. But look, we deserved it, and I still have no regrets.
Yeah, neither. I'm glad it happened, to be honest. Like, it's all the food out of the system, which is like, I don't care about food right now. Whereas like usually if like I'll be like still so food focused and like trying to avoid going out and can't be social because like having food anxiety, like, and not be able to actually catch up with my friends because I'm anxious about the food. So like no matter how many shows we do, like what we're saying, like pro level, amateur level, I can have the other pros are the same. Like it's tough. Like reversing is tough. Mentally, being okay with food, essentially not thinking about it 24/7 after comp.
I agree. And now that we're both in an improvement season, I know we're going to be following a meal plan, just because we're being strict this improvement season. But I'm still going out for dinner every now and then, and I'll have some like tracked meals, but I'll also eat off plan and not overthink it either, in moderation, without binging. I don't feel the need to binge. We ate more than enough in New York for me to want to feel that full again.
Yeah, and it's so important from like a burnout point of view and a balance point of view as well. Like, you need to be able to have that balance in off season. Like, it's not like being like, oh, balance, whatever. It's like you got to think about it as being able to fill your own cup so you can pour and push hard when you're in prep. This is what it's all going to be about. Like, we're still going to be on meal plan, like, all throughout the week. Have like enjoy a nice meal out. To be honest, I'm not going to go pick the dirtiest big cheap meal. It's going to be something.
No, I'm not even craving. Like, I really am not craving oily pizza at all. Whereas I used to always crave that as my cheat meals. But right now, all I want is just sushi or like chicken satay skewers and sticky rice.
Yeah, mango sticky rice.
Yes. We had some of the best mango sticky rice in LA. I think we had like 2 nights in a row or 3.
Yeah.
I wish we got onto it sooner.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Well, to be fair, you could macaroni in easily. Like, I kind of made myself at home.
Yeah.
So.
Just add a bit of coconut milk. Some dairy-free coconut ice cream, mango.
So how many weeks is it now until November if we do that show? Is it like...
We're like 25 weeks
22?
out. No, a bit more. 20, I think maybe 24.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Because I'm pretty sure the 1st of July.
Show, which
the
is
1st of July will be 20 weeks out.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we got to see how we come in. But slight changes as well. Claire and I now have the same coach.
We do.
Well, I haven't quite started yet, just pending my programs and all that. But we have the same coach. So Nathan Williamson will be coaching us from now on. So that's why we went to Melbourne last week. We went down to Melbourne for 4 days to see coach, train with coach, meet him in person because I haven't met him in person yet, and talk game plan before we dive into the next period when I get back to Dubai next week.
Yeah, and then we're on 100%.
Yeah. So Nathan Williamson, which is TFM, so Team Future Muscle.
Yeah.
He's also a IFBB pro, so he's an IFBB pro bodybuilder. That won his pro card quite some time ago.
Yeah.
It was like a couple of years before we did, I think. So I'm guessing around 2017. I'm gonna guess.
I have the date somewhere, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah.
I think I know more than you do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, was it Arnold's that he won his pro card?
He won won at the Arnold's, but I just don't remember the date exactly.
Yeah, I think it's 2017. That was when Melissa Carver won her pro card, and I just came second to her. And I think I remember Nathan winning it that year as well.
Okay.
But he's just as passionate about sport as we are. He's got an incredible eye for detail. He's a perfectionist, like I am, so it's perfect. And just like, I guess, like with finding coaches, you need to find someone that you click with and that you it's going to bring best you. And I don't need someone that fluffs around or whatever. I just need someone to be straight with me and just like give it to me savage and just tell me what to do. I'm going to go and execute it as much as I can.
I think you saw that. You saw that in my preps in the US, that he's just a savage, and it is what it is. It's his way or the highway. Like if you don't agree or you don't want to do what he says, see ya. You just got to follow the plan and stick to it 100%. And that's how it is.
Yep, 100%. That's how you have to be. You just got to be relentless if you want to be the best. So so
I'm excited
for the next chapter.
I'm excited to have you on the same team and we just smash this together. Like it'll be so much easier with the same coach.
100%.
Yeah, especially when we're traveling as well. Yeah. Before we wrap up today's episode, I think we have some listener questions. Did you want to read a few of them out, Steph?
Sure. Just shoving down my
your meal before your client.
Plan. Yeah.
Good girl.
Yes, sticking to the plan.
We're on track.
So, questions. Alrighty. So, first question: will you guys be at Season B Pro qualifiers? Yes, we will be.
Yes.
So the Season B shows, obviously we have our state shows, and then we have the national show in Queensland, which is my hometown. So I'll be here in September and October. So I'll be here for both those shows. The New South Wales show I'm planning to go to as well, depending on travel arrangements, because I have a wedding on that weekend as well. But definitely the two Queensland shows. What about you? What are your plans for Season B?
Yeah, so I mean, you'll be here in New South Wales anyway a few weeks before that show. So I mean, you'll be seeing some clients then. But I'm going to be at the New South Wales show for sure. I want to make it to the Queensland show and possibly Melbourne. I'll definitely be at Melbourne actually, because I'll be seeing coach anyway. So possibly Queensland as well. Not sure about South Australia. It's unlikely that I'll be at that show just because it is a bit further, and I might be in prep. So definitely, and then definitely nationals. I'll be there.
Yeah, so basically like New South Wales and Victoria. Well, question mark for me. New South Wales is your hometown, so you'll be there.
Yeah.
And then, are you going to come up for nationals?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, so I feel like if I'm coming for nationals, I might not come for the state show, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It depends on if you have clients and everything as well.
Exactly.
Next question. There's a couple of questions about coaching. How did you start out in coaching? Like, how did you learn to prep clients? So I started my exercise degree like 8 years ago. So that's where I initially learned all the background knowledge. And then of course competing for 7.5 years since then, like it's just a lot of experience, a lot of years experience. I started prepping my first client in 2017, so I did it on the side, and then it became my full-time job about 2.5 years ago. So a lot of experience as being an athlete yourself and working with a lot of top coaches, experienced coaches. I guess working with different coaches is made me the best coach I am today, because it's my approach is combination of everything. I've learned, like, picking the best from everyone. So I've worked with my very first comp was a very macro approach, was very like strength training, and then I went to another coach after that was very IFBB involved and was very bikini training and more hypertrophy training rather than strength training. And a little bit stricter with the approach of dieting. And then I went overseas, worked with Body, which is a very big name still. Worked with Team Atlas before coming back and working with Australian coaches now.
Yeah. So
how about you? How did you start in coach? You worked as a PT.
Yeah, so I was doing PT for about 3 to 4 years. And in my 4th year as a PT, it was in my 3rd year as a PT, I started transitioning into online coaching, because that's when I started traveling and moving around a fair bit. So I was never based in one city, in one place. So I transitioned into online coaching after quite a few years experience doing personal training. And I was the same as you. So 2017 was my first comp prep client as well. And that was my favorite client. Not client, but my favorite, like, how do I describe it? Experience. Yeah, it was my favorite experience. And since then, I enjoy I love taking on comp prep clients and clients who want to work with me in an improvement season. People with a set goal who really know what they want to get out of their coaching. I love that. And so it's been a good 6 years now. And I love it. I have only worked with 2 coaches, but I have learned a lot through both of them, and each of their methods are very different. So they both had very different approaches, and I've taken, like you said, it's the best from each of them, and I've implemented that into my own coaching as well. Also, my own personal experience competing has definitely helped me with my own coaching. But yeah, I just love working with ladies who have that same passion and drive as I do. I can really connect with that. And I love seeing their commitment to their prep and seeing them achieve the results they want to see.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I can vouch for that too. And it's not even, they don't even have to be a prep client, or they don't have to be planning on competing in the next couple of years. But like just having a purpose and having a drive, and like having that killer attitude, real clear goal. And they're willing to listen and learn and take it all in, and be coachable. That's what we love. They don't necessarily have to be pro clients, but like if you've got that same attitude towards your goal, 100% all for that. Gonna be, if you're all in, then we're also all in as a coach. So it goes both ways. What are your 3 main tips for starting out as a coach? Wow, know what you're doing. A lot of experience.
Honestly,
just tips for starting out as a coach.
I feel like you just need to get started and just go for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're never going to be ready as a coach, or you'll never feel like you're ready. You are, but you just will never feel it. Like, there's always things that you're going to be learning over the years. You know, you're never going to know everything straight away. And still, the best coaches don't know everything, but they're learning. So just get started and get that experience. That's my number 1 tip.
Yeah, I agree. All the best coaches are always constantly learning. Always. There's no level you're at. Like, it's like you always got to be open be open to different approaches. I would say that's my best thing as being a coach. And if you're wanting to become a coach, like learn as much as you can, different approaches, see how it works, what doesn't work. Like you learn the most from the preps that don't work. Like I think the shittest prep I've ever had, like made me the best coach, because like I know limits, I know like what's gonna like burn you out and send you into the deep end, versus the preps that have just been perfect. So yeah, just all the experience, you just get better as the experience. And I think the best thing about being an athlete and a coach at the same time is you're never stagnant, like because we're active, we're literally in it right now. So it's just like what our approach is. What my approach was 6 months ago is definitely not my approach what it is now. Like I remember, like, talk to me a year ago, I'd be like, no cheat meals, like shitloads of volume. And when now I'm like, well, you know what, volumes, I've pulled back my own volume with myself and my girls. Like I'm more about balance. Like you can do preps with macros. Some people you can't, some people you can. Like it's just like there's no one size fits all kind of thing.
Exactly.
And yeah, you learn it through experience, through being an athlete, and by coaching more people and seeing how people respond. Definitely. So that's not really 3 tips, but I guess I feel like we covered everything in that
tip.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be patient. Like people expect to have clients straight away and
no, it
just
takes
like
time.
be able to quit their jobs. No, it takes a long time.
In fact, it takes
and
years.
Good reputation as well.
Yeah,
years.
Yeah.
Like whatever you think is going to take for you, how long it's going to take for you to be a coach doing what you love, triple that. But just start.
And just don't lose.
Put in the work and
don't lose hope though, and don't feel discouraged. It will happen for you as long as you're consistent and you put in the work, because you'll get what you want eventually. You just need to stay consistent.
Yeah. It's not easy. Like working for yourself, like everyone thinks that like gives you so much free time, whereas realistically, like it's like
I feel like you have less free time.
It's that quote that you see how like entrepreneurs work 60 hours a week to avoid working the 40-hour week. The 40-hour week 9 to 5 job, which is so true. Like I mean,
like if you're doing what you love, you can't complain when you're doing what you love.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100% worth it. Wouldn't have it any other way. Next question. What were the US ladies like backstage, as nice as Australians? I think we covered that a little bit, but so down to earth, like,
and so friendly.
I think they really love Australians as well. So I think the fact that we were Australian helped.
I think because you and I are both really outgoing as well, and we're just chill and we're down to earth and we're genuine. I feel like they could feel that vibe and they just felt comfortable with us as well.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah,
100% agree with that. Next. Okay. Will you guys be recording podcasts on YouTube? Yes.
This
episode will be the first one that's going on YouTube. So which is super exciting.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing this when it's out.
Dealing with eating disorder, binge eating, etc. Also dealing with anxiety and scale attachment. I feel like that's all very similar questions, so I'm going to answer that in one go. Scale attachments. So I feel like this is something that gets better with time as well, and experience. Like you have to take the emotional element out of it. If you're making decisions and like thinking of it from an emotional point of view, you're going to dig yourself in a hole. Whereas like you just got to see the scale as what it is. It's just like, when you're in prep, like for example, a lot of my girls.
It's a goal.
Yeah. Like a lot of my girls in their preps, I get them to record their weight every day, and it's not because I don't want to do their head in. Like it's not about like, oh shit, you put on 200 grams last night, like it's body fat. No, it's not. It's more so like seeing it as an overall trend, and it's the more data you have, the more you can make decisions and see how your body responds to things. Like for example, what did you do yesterday? Did you train legs? Did you do HIIT training? If you're holding water today, like, oh, maybe it's because you did a really hard training session yesterday, and that's why your weight's up, because you're holding more water. Like things like that. Like it's you've got to look at it from a data perspective, not from like being emotional about it and being fixated on a number. You've got to like use your check-in photos and like and your programming and all the data that goes together as a whole, not just being fixated on the scale. If they are, most of the time after a comp prep, like I'll let my girls not weigh themselves for weeks because it's going to fuck with their head. Of course it is. And we just use photos in the first few weeks until they get to a comfortable point. But yeah, just take the emotional side out of things.
And in regards to binge eating, honestly, that's something that you will overcome in time. If you're aware of it, you know, you're halfway there. You're aware that you binge eat. So now it's just about doing something about it, which you can do. You know, you've got control over that. It's very common. I know so many girls go through it, especially girls who have competed as well. It's just about building that healthy relationship with food and within yourself as well. And just realizing that it's okay to not not follow a meal plan 7 days a week for every single meal. You're allowed to enjoy all foods in moderation. And you know, the other thing to think about is like food will always be there. So that cafe will always have that muffin that you're thinking about, or Coles will always have that Kit Kat that you're thinking about. It's always going to be there. So why do you just think about it like this? Why do you need to sit in your lounge room and binge eat for a good hour, a whole pile of junk food and fast food and oily foods, and then make yourself sick? You know, you're almost getting to the point where you're not even enjoying those really good foods that you were thinking about all week. So why don't you space it out? You know, have one kick out on Tuesday, you know, track it if you want to in your MyFitnessPal. And then Friday, enjoy that one slice, like enjoy a couple slices of pizza with a frozen yogurt. I don't know, but just split it up. And I think over time, you'll start to just develop a better relationship with your food. So
I agree. Yeah. I think that the best thing someone's ever said to me, and 6 to 7 all the time, is the food will always be there.
Yeah.
And like when you hear that, you're like, oh, yeah, it will be. Why am I doing this? So I think like there's a thought process behind people, especially like with yo-yo dieting. They think that, oh shit, like I'm gonna be dieting soon. Like I've only got this short amount of window where I can smash all this food in and enjoy it or whatever before it's taken away from me. So like being able to keep those foods in your lifestyle, in your your plan as such, regularly is going to take away that element, because it's just like, well, even if you're having one cheat meal a week, it's just like, well, I get another, like it's only a week later until I get a cheat meal. So like, why am I smashing it all in now? And then there's the other side of it as well, I guess, is like you got to think about, why are you binge eating? Like that's the psychology side of it, but then there's also like a physiological side of it, whereas like if you're not consuming enough calories, your body will tell you to eat more calories. So it's just like if you're trying to starve yourself during the week, like on 800, 900 calories, even 1,000 calories, like it's all relative to everyone. But like if it's like a lot lower than what you should be consuming to sustain like your everyday life,
you're more likely
going to tell you that. Yeah, your body's going to be like, you're burning so much energy, you're not eating fuck all. You need to get a lot of calories in now to sustain what you're trying to do. And that's going to lead to binging. So that's again yo-yo dieting. So if you are getting into that vicious cycle, you're probably better off putting out your food, and then you're not going to be craving, and body's not going to be like needing all that calorie hit in one go.
Agreed.
Do we have any more questions? It might be the last question. Oh no. Okay, so we've got.
Maybe we'll go one more. I think we should wrap it up after this.
Yeah, this one's a good one to finish on.
All right, perfect.
What was the biggest lesson for you from this trip? What was the biggest lesson for you, Claire?
I don't even know how to answer this. I feel like we learned so many little lessons.
Yeah. I felt like a big one is us being okay with how the timeline of things and how we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
So like obviously our goal is the Olympia. I think after this trip, like we've realized how much we actually love the process on the way and all these little trips that are gonna add up to when we eventually get to the end goal. And it's about enjoying every single one of them and growing as an athlete
until
instead of
we
just
get
being
there.
like, I need to get to Olympia now.
Yeah.
Like, of course we've got to be smart, that's the end goal.
I agree.
But like, gosh, like this is what we do. This is our passion. Like,
and
we
because,
like calm the hell down. Like, no one gets there in one shot. Like all the Olympians, like, have been doing this for years and years and years, and we're babies. It's our first show. Like, God's sake. And like, we had no idea what we're going into.
Yeah, we love the process. We love just getting on stage. So, you know, whether we make it to Olympia this year, next year, the year after, in the end, that's always going to be our goal. But I know we're both going to be fulfilled traveling and competing and experiencing the process of prep year after year, show after show, regardless of how long it takes us to get to Olympia. Because we'll get there eventually, but until then, we just are going to enjoy every single moment leading up to that.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's like the biggest thing, I know it's for you as well, is getting to the end of my life and knowing that like I lived it, like I wouldn't change anything for the world. I would have any regrets. And like, like all the memories that we created in that one trip, we have so many more to go. Like, that's living. I want to look back and be like, fuck yeah, like I had a good life. Like, that was sick.
We
did everything I loved and I followed our passions. That we have memories to end with it. I think from an actual like athlete point of view, the biggest lesson we learned was, well, you know what, we need to look like now. And it wasn't until we were literally there in person. Like, it took us 2 seconds to realize, but we had to be there in person to see it and just be like, oh, okay, we know now. So now we're going to be prepared and come back and make sure we bring that when we do.
Yeah. So it's only, we're
Australia's
only
very
from
different.
here.
Yeah, Australia's very, very different from the USA, I feel. Yeah, and like you do not know until you're in person. And you can see why nobody has a clue or really understands here, because like freaking hell, like I've been to the USA 4 times as an amateur athlete, but until I've been backstage next to the pros, backstage,
it's only until you really know. Yeah,
exactly. Cool. Alrighty, I think it's time for us to wrap up. I've got my praising client.
Well, I feel like this was a good recap about, you know, the past few months. And I'm just really excited to get the ball rolling with these podcasts again, now that we're both going to be settled in a bit more. Anyway, I know you've got traveling coming up, but we'll at least be based somewhere that we can call home now and can jump on our mics and start recording for every fortnight again.
So if anyone that you guys want to see on the podcast, any guests, we're going to try and get some USA judges on as well that we've made. Some of the connections we've made overseas on the podcast. But anyone else you guys want to see and hear, let us know. And we'll bring them on.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
See you in the next episode very soon.